René Descartes. Descartes is famous for "I think therefore I am" or for the original Latin meaning "cogito ergo sum". He is the father of modern philosophy, for he is the one who made an important connection between geometry and algebra, which allows for the solving of geometrical problems by the way of algebraic equations. Cogito ergo sum is a discourse of method as the first step in demonstrating the attainability of certain knowledge. Is the only statement to survive the test of his methodologic doubt. He even doubts that the existence of his own physical body, a man-thinking entity distinct from the body, must use his mind and thinking abilities to investigate and develop himself. René Descartes even think that why did he get there in having the "I think therefore I am". He decided that he couldn't rely on any evidence acquired from his senses, since they something misled him, and a straight stick can look bent in water. In the past, he'd made mistaken the shape of an object in the distance and so on. Worse still, while he's sleeping, he sometimes dreamed he woke up, so how then he could be sure he wasn't dreaming now? But he's hanging on in the dream. He even thought that a demon was controlling his own thoughts, manipulating them so they could, every time he added numbers together, he made a basic wrong. And in this case, he came up to a realization that even if such a demon existed, it couldn't deceive him about his own existence, even though no matter how unreliable proof he exists as a thinking, he could be more sure that even that he had a body. He always thinks that what he is believing. And this is for his famous cogito argument, "I think therefore I am", cogito ergo sum. And now, John Locke. John Locke. John Locke is famous for the phrase "to be founded on consciousness". Our identity is not locked in the mind, soul, or body only. He included that the concept of person's memory. Identity is explained in terms of physiological connection between life stages. And he also made the tabula rasa. At the birth is tabula rasa or the blank state, he feels that the self of the person identity. He constructed that primarily from senses experience is more specifical what people hear, smell, taste, and feel these experiences. Shape and mold the self through the person's life. For Locke, consciousness, awareness, and memory of previous experiences are the key to understand the self. Locke believes that the essence of the self. For him, it is the conscious of awareness and it is the thinking, reasoning, and reflecting identities. He contended that consciousness is accompanies thinking and makes possible and the concept of people. Having a self-consciousness is necessary to have a coherent personal identity of knowledge of self as the person. Consciousness is what makes identity of a person similar in different situations. At this point, Locke is proposing that the people could use the power of reasoning to gain knowledge, and consequently use this knowledge to understand experiences. For him, knowledge is based on careful observation and experiences. Reasons play an important role in helping to figure out the significance of senses, experience, and the range of intelligent conclusion. Thus, using the power of reasoning is the introspection, enables one to understand and achieve accurate conclusions.
Hi everyone, I am Clint Douglas Conde, and I am to report about the continuation of our topic, which is perspective from various philosophers. But before I'll start, let's have a quick recap about philosophy. So what is philosophy? Philosophy is all about finding answers to serious questions from ourselves and to the world that we live in. So it's basically questioning existing knowledge and intuitions to get closer to the truth. Some of these questions are: what is right or wrong? does God really exist, and many more. As you can see, this is David Hume. He was born on 1711 and died on 1776. David Hume believes that there is no self, that all knowledge is derived from human experiences. He also valued empiricism. Empiricism means the theory that all knowledge is derived from sense experiences. Empiricism stimulated on the rise of experimental science, which was developed by John Locke, George Berkeley, and David Hume. It started on 17th century to 18th century. Is also known for his bundle theory or collections of impressions. And under his bundle theory are impressions and ideas. But let's talk about impressions first. Impressions are products of direct experiences. So it's all about the feeling that you felt while doing something. For example, what you feel after eating, what you feel after swimming, what you feel after singing. So it's basically what you feel throughout your experiences. So you see, we have different feelings, we have different perceptions, we have different impressions throughout or towards our certain experiences. So next is ideas. Ideas are imagination or copies of impressions. So from the word copies of impression, it's not actually feeling or impression, but it's an idea. For example, you have an idea how it feels like eating, you have an idea how it feels like swimming, you have an idea how it feels like singing. So you are not actually doing the thing, but you have an idea how it feels like when you do the thing. So to make it short, the self is nothing but an imagination. That's all.
Good day everyone. I am here to discuss about the life of a great and influential philosopher. His name is Immanuel Kant. Immanuel Kant is one of the most influential philosophers in the history of Western philosophy. His contribution to metaphysics, epistemology, ethics, and aesthetics have had profound impact on almost every philosophical movement that followed him. So, Immanuel Kant is an influential philosopher. He shared all about his knowledge in philosophy. His contributions have had profound, so it is very great, intense, and insight, because all the philosophical movement that followed him are satisfied. Immanuel Kant separates education into as moral and physical education. For him, physical education is only common way with feed and care, comparing human with animals. Physical and moral education teach us how person live as independent existence. Instruction makes us person worthy as individual. So, he separates education into two, which is moral and physical education. Because for him, physical education is only common way on how they care human and animals. While moral education teach us how to live an independent and a person with existence. Immanuel Kant contradicts the perspective of Hume's. He contradicts because he has his own perspective, so he don't want to have an same idea or same idea about Hume's, so he contradicts. He believes that man is the only creature that governs and directs himself and his actions, and he also promotes his self-respect. He has the belief of man is the creature that governs, because um man can make any creatures directs about himself.
Hi guys, I'm Josrael J. Tagra from Group 2 here in front of you to present Churchland. Paul Montgomery Churchland is a Canadian philosopher known for his studies in neurophilosophy, philosophy of science, philosophy of mind, artificial intelligence, and epistemology. Neurophilosophy, or philosophy of science, is the interdisciplinary study of neuroscience and philosophy that explores the relevance of neuroscientific studies to the arguments traditionally categorized as philosophy of mind. Philosophy of science. Philosophy of science is a branch of philosophy concerned with the foundations, methods, and implication of science. The central questions of this study concern what qualifies as science, the reliability of scientific theories, and the ultimate purpose of science. Philosophy of mind. Philosophy of mind is a branch of philosophy that studies the ontology and nature of the mind and its relationship with the body. Artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is the simulation of human intelligence processed by machines, especially computer systems. Specific applications of AI include expert systems, natural language processing, speech recognition, and machine vision. Epistemology. Epistemology is the branch of philosophy concerned with knowledge. Epistemologists study the nature, origin, and scope of knowledge, epistemic justification, the rationality of belief, and various related issues. Uh, that's all for Churchland. Thank you.
Hello everybody, I am John Kirby Hinolos from Group 2, and let me introduce you my topic Merleau-Ponty. So, let us start. So who is Merleau-Ponty? Maurice Jean-Jacques Merleau-Ponty is a French philosopher and public intellectual who was the leading academic proponent of existentialism and phenomenology in post-war France. He was a leading phenomenological existential philosopher, best known for his original and influential work on embodiment, perception, and ontology. He also made important contribution to the philosophy of art, history, language, nature, and politics. He was a profound influence on French philosophy and social theory. Merleau-Ponty published two major theoretical texts, The Structure of Behavior and The Phenomenology of Perception. To jump in, let's define what we mean by subjectivity or subject. In my purposes, I think of a subject as something that has being. A subject is a real thing that can take real action and cause real effects. In short, it exists. Keeping this in mind, Maurice Merleau-Ponty believed the physical body to be important part of what makes up the subjective self. This idea flew in the face of two of the most heralded yet opposing ideas in all philosophy. They are empiricism and rationalism. In order to understand why Merleau-Ponty's ideas made such a splash, we need to understand the two philosophies. When speaking of self or being, rationalism asserts that reason and mental perception, rather than physical sense and experience, are the basis of knowledge and self. In other words, our rational thinking minds are where it's all at. According to many who held this belief, the mind is the set of our consciousness. It is the subject behind what it means to be human. The body is just a shell. Standing constructionalism is empiricism. That is the perception that our bodily senses are the best supply of knowledge. If the words of our knowledge cannot be seen, touched, heard, tasted, it really cannot be trusted. Or in the other phase, if cannot be empirically studied, it is no go. Other those parameters, the concept of the few mystical mind, independently perceiving and giving us our feel of self comes under some serious scrutiny. An empiricist may argue that our bodily body and no longer some mystical thoughts makes up our experience of self. Now, let us go over Maurice Merleau-Ponty's theory intersubjectivity in the phenomenology of perception. From Merleau-Ponty, any encounter with an other is preceded by a precognitive, pre-linguistic encounter with otherness in the form of anomalous other word encountered as a part of an objectively shared word. No longer is simply for me, the word, and the things found therein immediately points us to the others. When others appear or are objectively apprehended, world gets sucked into the sphere of influence and we lost our position as the center of the world. The other is the first perceived as a body, but this body is no more object. The lived body of subject is characterized by the reversibility of being both object and subject. Simultaneously, just like poking your hand, other hand, you are doing the action as well as being the subject. A special kind of object, the lived body of the other exhibits behavior much like our own.
Good day everyone, I am Julius Clark Manay. So this is my part of the report. This is Edmund Husserl. So Edmund Husserl has a quote that I must achieve internal consistency. So Edmund Husserl was born on April 8, 1859 in Czech Republic, and he died April 27, 1983 in Germany. So I have computed his age. He's basically 124 years old. So his parents were non-Orthodox Jews. So Husserl and his wife later converted to Protestantism. They had 3 children, one of whom died in World War I. Husserl studied astronomy in Leipzig, where he also attended courses of lectures and in mathematics, physics, and philosophy. Husserl's first published monography was Philosophy of Arithmetic, which appeared in 1891. So, what is philosophy of arithmetic? This is a mathematical, psychological, and philosophical competencies to attempt a psychological foundation of arithmetic. So, Edmund Husserl is the founder of phenomenology. So, what is phenomenology? Phenomenology is a method for the descriptions and analysis of consciousness through which attempts to gain characteristics. So, Husserl suggested that only by suspending or bracketing away the natural attitude could philosophy becomes its own distinctive and rigorous science, and he insisted that phenomenology is a science of consciousness rather than of empirical things. That's all. Thank you.
Richard Rorty. Richard Rorty developed a distinctive and controversial brand of pragmatism that expressed itself along two main axes. One is negative, a critical diagnosis of what Rorty take to be defining projects of modern philosophy. The other is positive, an attempt to show what intellectual culture might look like once we free ourselves from the governing metaphors of mind and knowledge, in which the traditional problem of epistemology and metaphysics, and indeed, in Rorty's view, the self-conception of modern philosophy are rooted. Pragmatism is a principle that the usefulness, workability, and practicality of ideas, policies, and proposals are the criteria of their merit. Rorty contends that to hold a belief simply means that one is inclined to act in certain ways and not in others. So I will be explaining pragmatism. So pragmatism is a school of thoughts, an idea that is everything is meaningful. In an elaborate way, it means you have meaning in this world. It means that you are being used. The bad side in pragmatism is that if you aren't useful anymore, you'll be forgotten or thrown away. So the connection to pragmatism to the self is that the self becomes meaningful. If the self has a function that is doing something, that your life is meaningful, if there is no function, there won't be any existence. So pragmatism is a very dangerous thought because we put the value of a person based on its usefulness. Because we know that what happens if someone is useless, we intend to forget them. So next is Swarty's thinking as a historicist and an anti-essentialist found its fullest expression in 1979 in his most noted book, Philosophy and a Mirror of Nature. Abandoning all claims to a privileged mental power that allow direct access to things in themselves, he offered an alternative narrative which adapts Darwinian evolutionary principles to the philosophy. So its title is The Philosophy in the Mirror of Nature. The title is Philosophy and the Mirror of Nature because his understanding of the world and the people who exist in this world is based on material existence, meaning meaning anti-essentialist, because there is no inner self, no soul, there is no consciousness, but only the materially existing person. That's all. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Lord Michael Peitoco. I'm here to discuss about Eastern philosophy. What is Eastern philosophy? Eastern philosophy or Asian philosophy includes the various philosophies that originated in East Asia or South Asia, including Chinese philosophy, Indian philosophy, including Hindu philosophy, Jain philosophy, Buddhist philosophy, Japanese philosophy, Korean philosophy, and Vietnamese philosophy. All of these are dominant in East, South, Southeast Asia. Eastern philosophy has always had a similar goal to Western philosophy, that of making us wiser, less agitated, more thoughtful, and readier to appreciate our lives. In other words, Eastern philosophy is a diverse body of approaching to life and philosophizing. There are six types of ideas in Eastern philosophy. Number one, life is suffering. The first and central noble truth of the Buddha is that life is inevitably about suffering. The Buddha continually seeks to adjust our expectation to we will know what to expect. Sex will disappoint us, youth will disappear, money won't spare us pain. Number two, mithya. Mithya is a word which in the Indian language of Pali means benevolence, kindness, or tenderness. It is one of the most important ideas in Buddhism. Number three, Guanyin. Guanyin is a saintly female figure in Asian Buddhism strongly associated with mercy, compassion, and kindness. Number four, Wu Wei. Wu Wei is a Chinese term that the heart of philosophy of Taoism. It is first described in the Tao Te Ching, written by the sage Lao Tzu in the 16th century BC. Number 5. Bamboo as wisdom. Bamboo as wisdom is Asia has been called bamboo civilization. Not merely because bamboo has been widely used in daily life, but also because its symbolic qualities have been described and celebrated for hundreds of years in the philosophy of Taoism. Number 6. Kintsugi. Since the 16th century, Zen Buddhism philosophy in Japan has been alive to the particular beauty and wisdom of things which have been prepared. Kitsugi is a compound of two ideas, kin meaning in Japanese golden and tsuge meaning is joinery. So this is the 6 ideas of the Eastern philosophy. Number 1, life is suffering. Number 2, mithya. Number 3, Guanyin. Number 4, Wu Wei. Number 5, bamboo as wisdom. And the last, Kintsugi. So this is the 6 ideas of the Eastern philosophy.